All right, sorry about that. We've got so many people here that I think we are kind of melting the servers.
So they just keep crashing, huh?
All right. Well, it's certainly an incredible honor to have Governor DeSantis make this stark announcement.
Are you there? Can you hear us? I think you broke.
I'm here.
I know. I think you broke the internet there. We had over 500,000 people in one Twitter space, and it was growing by like 50,000 a minute. So, congrats on breaking the internet there.
I am running for president of the United States to lead our great American country.
Welcome to Western Kabuki. This is Alex Goldman. I am here as always with Juniper. Juniper, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
You know, I'm in my basement, a cold, an unheated basement, but other than that, I can't complain. We also have Caleb. How are you?
Fantastic.
And our guest this week is Parker Molloy, who writes the Present Age newsletter on Substack. Parker, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me.
And the reason we have you on this week is because we wanted to do a postmortem to our dear departed boy.
Poor old Meatball Ron Desantis.
We hardly knew him.
He's gone.
He launched his campaign on my birthday, which was a fantastic gift for me, frankly.
That must have been an incredible day. Oh my God. Like if you going back 2 years, talking about him launching his campaign, they'd be like, oh no, this guy's he's a far right demagogue. He's he's kind of terrifying. His politics are really reactionary. But the day the day he announced, in retrospect, yeah. Even the day of was one of the funniest days of this entire
his campaign exploded on the launch pad with the SpaceX rocket boy. It was exactly how you were putting it, June's. I was thinking for quite a while, a lot of us, well, this is just going to get worse and worse. This is really scary. And then he did that. And then what we get is 20 minutes of Elon Musk tapping his microphone going, hello, we've melted the servers or whatever, just complete idiots. And the audio from that, which I think we did in our cold open, is I remember listening to it and laughing a lot, but so much has happened in the last 8 months or whatever that I forgot just how fucking awful and cringy that was. It was just a nightmare.
It was amazing. First off, the decision to announce it on an audio only channel, just like we're in the the damn 1940s. It's perfect. This is great. This is wonderful.
Radio 2.
Yeah, I know.
Return to radio. Yeah.
It's
I didn't even think about it like that.
Yeah, going back to radio times, I know that we are also a podcast, but also that does not seem to be the most 21st century way to launch a presidential campaign.
Yeah, on an untested platform, by the way.
Famously glitchy.
And I loved the whole time how Elon Musk kept trying to spin it as a positive. He's like, well, there's so much interest that our servers can't possibly keep up. Well, actually, a well-maintained website would not break like this, no matter how much interest there was.
Not even close. They were saying that there was other spaces and stuff. There was all kinds of other serverless. Every tech nerd had an article about why Elon was wrong and lying, but it was just very funny. For him to freestyle it, and it was him, and for some reason, fucking David Sachs was co-launching the DeSantis campaign. One of those all-in perverts. Why is this guy here? And he's oh, we've melted the servers. And Elon is just all sad in the background because they were sitting next to each other and getting feedback from each other's microphones. Did any of you think to have an audio person for this? How does this happen?
It's really just incredible how that space set the tone for his entire campaign. Honestly, It really, in a weird way, predicted just how his campaign was going to go. And I'm so happy that happened. He could have done it on Twitch. He could have done it on YouTube. It would have gone flawlessly. I mean, you guys remember, like in 2016, especially when Bernie Sanders would do so many different campaign events and like different things on different like streaming services, like that he didn't have to use Twitter. Like it's just an insane decision.
He should have done it in Fortnite, like they did with the Star Wars thing with the Emperor. I think that would have been the way to go.
I feel like he would have gained probably three points. Like,
I mean, he could have been super tall. He could have, it would have played to his strengths.
Ooh, the metaverse. He could have had like a bunch of dancing bored apes and stuff.
Exactly. Well, he couldn't have because they didn't have legs at that time. So that actually would happen.
I love also, and we have an article I think that Alex is going to read in a second, but just before that, Trump destroyed DeSantis's hopes and dreams for the presidency. Within like 45 minutes, he posted that meme of like the space, and inside there was like this fake screenshot of like Twitter, and inside the space was Elon Musk, Ron DeSantis, George Soros, Klaus Schwab, Dick Cheney, Adolf Hitler, and the devil, which is just some guy with like a FaceApp red thing going on. Like, I don't know what, but immediately everyone was like, yep, that's it. Ron's fucked. 45 minutes really is how long his presidential campaign lasted.
It's just incredible. That's like the only thing Trump had to say about him. That really is like, has Trump said anything else about Ron DeSantis since that?
Very little. He called him like Meatball Ron and made it Ron DeSanctimonious because he didn't want to offend the Italians. But it was like a one-punch knockout. It was like the Ben Askren UFC fight. Like he lasted like 7 seconds and it was over.
The Meatball Ron thing was actually very funny because he floated it as like someone else's idea. He was like, I've heard people calling him Meatball Ron. And then all of the sort of like...
like that's the thing that you can't say.
There are other conservatives who are like, a little too far. And then he was like, all right, I'll stick with Ron DeSanctimonious.
Which is a terrible nickname.
Oh, it's the worst.
It makes no
truly
sense.
The worst he's come up with.
Yeah. That's like definitely Trump's worst nickname to date. Absolutely. It's
that made me worried that he didn't have the juice anymore, frankly. Like, because of course the only good thing about Donald Trump ever running for president is like
the juice.
How he's going to humiliate these fucking monsters. And
dude,
like,
he ended Marco Rubio's campaign with that little Marco shit in like 2 words.
Every once in a while, if I'm feeling sad, I'll go back and I'll watch the clip from the 2016 Republican primaries, where you've got Trump talking to, he's responding to some question, and he just turns to Jeb Bush, and he starts talking about how he's like, your brother was president on 9/11, and he starts talking about how your mom and your dad and your whole family, and he just goes in on the entire Bush family, and I'm just like, this was the one good moment. This is it.
Yeah, he just accidentally destroys 2 of America's like worst political dynasties in like 48 hours. That was really funny. And then also there's like, it's fucked up, right? Obviously, but like how he just was like, Ted Cruz, your wife is ugly and your dad is a Zodiac killer. And then like a few months later, Ted Cruz is fucking making calls for the guy. Like,
there's something so like, of course, Trump is awful and evil and just like the worst, but we've had this conversation before, just the way he systematically destroys politicians is just incredible. And the fact that he didn't even have to do it this time around, he didn't even really have to do much. He didn't have to go on the debate stage. He just like let them do their little second place debates and they all floundered. They all just like destroyed themselves. It's incredible.
Yeah, it helps that none of them were really running against him. Like
he's like too popular still.
Yeah, the only one who was actually running against Donald Trump seemed to be Chris Christie, and even he was just kind of like, his things were like, "You're a coward," like
Donald Duck.
Yeah, Donald Duck.
That was an all-timer, I have to say. I'm never gonna forget the Donald Duck comment. That was just an incredible line.
It hurts to think about, honestly.
You're not here tonight, not because of polls and not because of your indictments. You're not here tonight because you're afraid of being on the stage and defending your record. You're ducking these things. And let me tell you what's going to happen. You keep doing that, no one up here is going to call you Donald Trump anymore. We're going to call you Donald Duck.
If you remember that debate too, if you watch Chris Christie's face, like the screenshot of him making the face went viral because he looked like he just absolutely fucking cooked him, and it was like the worst insult.
And it was right when that weird picture of like of Kevin James was going viral too, and they looked so similar. And I was really high and watching that at the time, so I just started pushing the things together and making a really trippy video out of it, and it was a good time.
Before I read the article, because like I already, like, as soon as it's in the rear view, it's like almost hard to remember. I'm wondering, Parker, if you could like help me remember, like, what was Ron DeSantis's profile in the US before his campaign announcement? Like, who did the US see him as?
Yeah. So his whole thing was, because remember, when he was first elected because he was a congressman before he was elected governor of Florida in 2018, and he was just barely scraped into office. It was very close. And once he got into office, he went the full culture warrior route. He started going after LGBT rights, trans rights specifically, started doing his weird book ban kind of stuff, and he was making a name for himself on that and on being very anti COVID rules, keeping Florida open, that whole thing. So, that was kind of his profile as he's running for re-election as governor. And the basic idea was that he could be Trump without the baggage. And then Trump announces that he's going to run. The question is DeSantis going to run, or is he going to wait? And he jumps in there, and suddenly you just have two Trumps. And people are just going to go for Trump and not diet Trump. Even though DeSantis was trying to run to Trump's right on some of these issues, the Trump is already as far right as possible in this situation.
Just what a terrible political calculus too, because I don't think that DeSantis really realizes, like, the reason that half the people that voted for Donald Trump wasn't because of like even policy really. Like, yes, it was to a degree. It was he was making the people that they hated from TV suffer.
Yeah.
And he can't do that.
Yes.
Yeah, DeSantis, he's too easy to make fun of. He's so easy to make fun of.
Yeah, it doesn't help that he picks fights with Disney and then loses. You can't do that.
You can't wear the outfit that he wore with the boots and that sweater vest and like be the guy that tortures your political enemies from the television. You just can't.
The fact that he somehow ended up in that photo with the boots looking sad, with Biden looking cool next to him. Like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
How do you end up in
Biden
a photo
with his
where,
arm around a bottle blonde with his arm around her, and then a guy wearing a Florida Cracker shirt yucking it up with him, and then DeSantis is just doing the virgin walk from the Soy Jack memes.
Yeah. How does that photo exist? Like, that is one of those a plane explodes and somehow comes back together and is a complete plane again kind of situations. It's so rare. There's the joke Biden looks that cool.
What was the Palin election? 2012.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so in 2012, there was like someone did an interview with her at a turkey farm, and she stood right in front of a turkey being slaughtered. And it was like, guys, your only job is staging. And this is what you chose to put her in front of? It's like a turkey getting its, like, being held down and having its head cut off. It's fucking
horrific and ironic, like, bad optics politically thing that could happen is happening right behind you and nobody stopped it.
It's so funny to me that these like perfect cultural conservatives all have just like the worst like optics. Like of course, like they're bad, like their politics are bad optics, but the way they present themselves, like their appearance and like publicly, is just like there's just something so deeply embarrassing about them. I don't know. There's like, I look at them and I just laugh. They're not like scary.
But June, you're totally right. Like, when Ron DeSantis was potentially running, like, the prospect of it, people were really like, oh my God, this guy's so far to the right. And he's he's not insane like Donald Trump. And everybody was worried about it. And then he ran his launch, and it like immediately deflated that balloon. Like,
everybody kind of just sighed a breath of relief a little bit.
So let me read this article from NBC real quick. This is it's called DeSantis' presidential campaign was a mess from the moment it launched, is how it begins. The Florida governor decided to do something different from the usual tightly choreographed announcement speech. He turned to the unpredictable social media platform once known as Twitter. DeSantis' May 24 rollout was widely panned and full of glitches. Twitter servers apparently couldn't handle the traffic, and the Twitter Spaces app repeatedly crashed. The event with CEO Elon Musk was audio only, depriving the candidate of photographs he could have used in ads and fundraising pitches. And by the time of DeSantis' big announcement, much of the audience had clicked away. Because he didn't actually announce until like 30, 45 minutes after all the craziness, right?
So it was over 20 minutes of technical difficulty before the failed audio even started. So keep that in mind. They were supposed to start and they just didn't for 20 minutes. And then the audio was fucked up for 21 minutes and then they stopped. The whole thing was supposed to be an hour and they got 21 minutes of usable audio. And that is what you heard in the opening.
But like once that happened, it just seemed like a completely different person emerged on the national stage than the one that we had come to like be concerned about. And that person was he reminds me of Vincent D'Onofrio in Men in Black, like an alien wearing a human skin.
See, I believe the cloning theory. So like, you know how with John Fetterman, they were like, oh, they cloned him. He's not the same John Fetterman. They did that with Ron Desantis, like right before the space. They cloned DeSantis and made him soy. Is what they did. Is my theory.
Also, not to like get too far afield, but did you notice that the cloning John Fetterman stuff went away immediately when he started supporting Israel?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, conservatives love him now.
Yeah. They'll never vote for him, but they love him.
Yeah.
They're still voting for the Republican who goes against them, but.
I just love the idea of like a 53-year-old guy that has like one of those insanity vans with 100 bumper stickers on it being like, is John Fetterman actually based?
Oh, that absolutely happened. That's a conversation like probably thousands of people had in this country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my favorite thing about the entire DeSantis campaign has been trying to just watch him try to learn how to smile like a human being.
Yeah. Oh my God.
He changes his smiles like software release updates. Like there's like smile version 1.2.3 and he tries it again. And it's that horrible grimace that he does.
Or he does, there's another thing he does when he's speaking, which is that he licks his lips very quickly. But he does it in such a way that it's not just like a quick like lick the spot that needs licking. He does a full across the front like, and it's so once you notice it, you'll never not notice it again.
I don't know who like first pointed this out about him, but like those photos where he's like trying to smile and talk to people, he looks like a snake about to like unhinge his jaw and pounce on a prey. Like the face that he's making, he looks like he's a predator. It's crazy.
Yeah.
There's a photo. So I was writing an article about him the other day and I was going through Getty Images and I found the saddest photo of him ever that I'm going to try to find and I'll share here in the chat because it brought me joy for how much sadness there is in it.
That's one of those things that like, it's like precious little consolation to me a lot of the time because they're people who make decisions that materially affect my life. And generally my life is getting worse as a result of them. But one of the things that I can't help but enjoy is like how miserable most of these guys are. These like people in power just seem like Ron DeSantis looked like he hated every second of his campaign. Elon Musk seems like he does not enjoy anything about his life. Like these people seem deeply, deeply unhappy. And if they're going to be people who just fucking ruin my life and the lives of people I care about, at least they seem miserable. That's the only consolation I have.
Yeah. Also, yeah, this picture that Parker just sent is incredible. He looks like he's like always going to cry. It's so good.
Yeah, that was him it was him greeting attendees after speaking at a campaign stop. So he's at one of his own campaign stops and no one wants to talk to him.
Yeah, no one's looking
at him. Why is he always he's got the posture of a guy who just it's the worst day. It's like his dog just got hit by a car all the time.
But I hate to say this because I just hate to say it. But when I look at his posture, I'm like, oh man, that's kind of my posture. I slouch a bit. I kind of got my head around my shoulders. The other thing that I always think is like when he laughs, like he really rears his head back and opens his mouth really wide. And I'm like, and it looks super weird and artificial. Like he doesn't know how to laugh, or like the aliens in Galaxy Quest or something. But I also feel like I do that too. And so I'm just like, fuck, man. If I ever try to run for office, I'm going to get DeSantis to sit.
Listen, Alex, there's a difference between like, cause I'm the same way. Like there's pictures of me yucking it up and I look atrocious. I just generally am not like, I'm not a looker. I'm doing a podcast for a reason, but I look human. I look like a human being. When DeSantis laughs, the way that he looks, it's like he's okay. Into the Spider-Verse, like when they're like kind of like going through two universes at once, when the bad universe is like swallowing the good one and everybody's glitching. That's what Ron DeSantis looks like when he laughs.
Yeah.
Oh God. And so Parker just shared another photo of him like giving the biggest beaming smile of all time. And
he still looks sad. He does, yeah. Still looks like he's crying.
Oh God. He does look like he's just finished weeping.
Yeah.
Holy
he looks
shit.
like grandmas would love to pinch his cheeks is like the look that he has here. Like just look at those cheeks. You just want to pinch them.
Okay. I'm going to send you another photo from just a few seconds later. And you tell me if it doesn't look even more like he was just crying.
Oh my God. You really have the Ron DeSantis photo game on lock.
Yeah.
We gotta get these. We're gonna put these in the show description, I promise.
Oh, he's like trying to hide it. Aw, poor guy.
I know. He's just like,
he's such a little guy.
He knows that he's losing. It's great.
So when did he announce?
Miserable.
He announced in like what, February or March of 2023? May 24th of 2023?
That was really recent. I cannot believe that. Oh
it
my
feels
God.
like it's been
a shorter
that guy's
campaign than most pregnancies last, ironically.
The reason I ask is because I'm looking at this article right now about him putting his fingers in chocolate pudding. That was a bit of pre-announcement DeSantis buffoonery, which is that hold on, I'm going to read. It's by Zachary Patrizzo from the Daily Beast. It's from March 16th, 2023.
Oh, this shit was so fucking good.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says he doesn't recall eating pudding with 3 fingers on a 2019 private plane flight. The incident, part of a longer feature story by the Daily Beast on DeSantis at times struggling to read the room, earned a non-denial denial from the governor in a new interview. I don't remember doing that, DeSantis told Piers Morgan for an upcoming interview on Fox Nation. Maybe when I was a kid, but it's interesting that there's lots of people who, when they go at you, sometimes they have really good ammunition, like you're a crook, you did this, you did that. He continued, for me, they're talking about pudding. And I'm like, is that really the best you got? Okay, bring it on.
Yeah, Ron, sorry. That's actually very important. That's a thing that we want to know. Do you eat your fucking pudding with your fingers if you want to be the president? Most people would want to know that information.
The best part about this article is that there's a parenthetical right after that where it says, the Daily Beast previously reported that his administration has steered millions of dollars in state funds to his old law firm.
For like the average Democrat, like eating pudding with 3 fingers would not be like a big deal. Democrats would be like, oh yeah, whatever. But for Republicans, like this is something that would ruin a campaign for Republicans. Republicans don't care if you're caught like reading Mein Kampf. They care if you look like a loser is what they care about, like genuinely.
Yeah. Well, what's that fucking speech that's going around today of Joe Biden saying God knows what, saying Trump found out if you want to mess with American women, you're going to get them, and just kind of trails off and everybody just goes fucking ballistic. It's like, what? He didn't even say, he didn't say anything. Why is everybody clapping?
See, it's so easy to be a Democrat.
Well, this reminds me of a thing that actually did seriously derail a campaign, in my opinion, and maybe I'm overstating the effect of it. But like when Amy Klobuchar, those stories came out about her like eating salad with a hairbrush, like people were like, "Oh, this lady's a damn freak." Like, we want nothing to do with her.
It's so funny because that's when I started to like her a little bit. I was like, oh, damn, she's...
No,
she's
that honestly
wild.
made her sound fucking badass, dude, because that's crust person aesthetic, and that's me. Like, I would do that in a pinch. That's how you know you can trust Amy Klobuchar in a bind. If she is coming up with creative solutions, that's good, I think. I didn't understand that at all.
Yeah, no, that was the coolest she ever was.
The nasty little creeps on this show are like, oh yeah,
like, no, that's where she has us.
Yeah. I also did like that this is another aside, but do you guys remember that like gay intern sex story that came out a couple of months ago?
Yes.
It was like in the congressional halls or whatever.
It was like a congressional page.
Yeah, they had sex. I guess they had sex on her like desk, which is just an insane thing. She made like some.
That's a detail I did not know.
Yeah, it was like right on her desk, and she I think her like Twitter, like her whatever, she made like a little post about it that was like, okay, she's kind of funny sometimes.
That's crazy.
Do you think that was on purpose or just happenstance? I guess I'd need to see the layout of the room. Like, I'm going to have gay sex in this room.
The room is like a giant horseshoe shape. And they were sort of in the center of the horseshoe. I mean, but I also don't know like where entrances and exits were. So I don't know if it was a matter of convenience or a matter of like vengeance against Amy Klobuchar.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like
phones at her interns or whatever.
But it was like a Republicans intern, wasn't it? We came out because there was two. I remember the joke was another gay intern sex has hit the South Tower or whatever the joke.
Oh yeah, because that was like right around George Santos, like the whole George Santos thing. Yeah.
It kind of got lost in the mix.
Yeah, what's with Republicans and having like the craziest gay people? Like, well, why aren't Democratic operative gay people this wild? What's going on here?
Crazy gays.
We do. They can't be all. They all can't be Republicans. They're eating us alive. It's horrible.
I think in order to be a gay Republican, you have to be a little nuts.
Absolutely.
So maybe that's it. And as a cis straight guy, I recognize that maybe this is not for me to say.
That's true. Yeah.
I'll allow it. You're fine. You're fine on this one.
The only gay Republican I ever knew was also like a Border Patrol agent, and he was a fucking psycho. So I just don't know with those guys.
There's something to this theory. There's something there. Yeah.
The only gay conservative I know keeps trying to get engaged to women that he's known for like a couple months. So
wait, he's gay, but he's trying to marry.
He's gay, and he acknowledges that he's gay, but he's like a person who's trying to. He's like, I am a homosexual man, but like I am trying to live it by Christ's law. So I'm trying to marry straight.
That's just
pretty.
That's a bummer.
Yeah. Oh my God. There's a better way. There's a better way, man. Come on, you don't have to do that.
The better way is just like to fuck whoever you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Do it in the congressional like halls. It's awesome.
I mean, you might lose your job, but it seems like it's worth it.
Sorry, we got really off track from Ron DeSantis. But no, the pudding thing was just incredible. Like, there's just, I think the theme of his entire campaign, I just can't keep going back to just
there's
like
a lot
the entire
of food
experience.
Related mishaps.
A lot of food mishaps. A lot of him just being like really weird and off-putting. That's like that was just his thing. Is he was
often
the weird
with
and
food. It turns out.
Yeah.
When he was talking to that
what was the other
kid,
food situation?
There's a couple. He was that one. I can't remember what it was. Might have been Iowa. It was fairly recently, I think, where he's talking to a kid, and the kid's like eating a fucking fair slushy or whatever. He's like, "Oh, wow, that's an icy, huh? Probably a lot of sugar though." And then just stares at the kid, like, "What? Like, how the kid does not care about the sugar content of his treat? Like, what's the matter with you?"
Yeah.
And it's
the
way
more
he
you talk about
deadpanned
him, the more I'm like, God, I can't make small talk at parties either. Like, I'm really just Ron DeSantis. This sucks.
A lot of sugar in that, huh? Yeah. But then, like, also famously, if his by this point campaign had not been derailed by this the hungry meme that like everybody thought was real for like a day, and that was enough to destroy him, even though it was like very completely not real.
The normies thought it was real for way longer than that,
which is great.
Yeah,
between that and the dude from the Federalist with his what is it, the mommy milkers thing.
Wait, what's this one?
Yeah.
I don't know this one.
Sean Davis from the Federalist. There was
Sean Davis. Yeah, Sean Davis from the Federalist is just like a bug-eyed freak, and I feel comfortable saying that because he's like one of the worst people who ever lived. Someone responded to him on Twitter and just said, "You look like the type of guy who says mommy milkers."
But someone made a fake tweet of him saying mommy milkers, and people posted his replies, and he's like, I never tweeted that. And he got very upset, but people keep posting it as if it's real.
He blocked me a long time ago because I made one of those crude AI things where I animated his picture of him singing that that Fortnite song that's set to American Boy.
Shit, what was that one called? Jugtown? Or something like that?
Yeah.
There's
But
the article.
but he said at some point that he was going to sue whoever did the mommy milkers tweet. He was like, all right, I've had enough. I am going to sue the person who originated this if you guys don't stop this immediately.
You should definitely 100% spend a lot of time and money finding out who this is. Lots of subpoenas, make it real expensive. I can't believe I missed all of this. I had no.
Way back
when did this happen?
2021.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's a little bit before he was on the radar, maybe a little bit like more so. That's incredible.
But the video of him saying hungry was the bad lip reading guy.
Yeah.
So if you've ever seen the bad lip reading site, the bad lip reading YouTube channel, he'll take either, music videos or presidential speeches, and he will just make up. He will then overlay his own voice saying something convincing enough. And there's a moment where he made, it was like a DeSantis campaign video, and he sits down next to some food, and the guy makes him say, hungry, in exactly that voice. And holy shit. So that and the pudding thing, even if they're not true, I hate to use this phrase, but like, I really believe this. Like, even if they're not true, the fact that I believe them says a lot about Ron DeSantis.
It's a Cybersmith quote, the eternal evergreen Cybersmith quote. It feels true.
Yeah. It does feel true.
It doesn't, like, genuinely, like, if they're like, I make fun of a lot like those people that say that stuff all the time, but like the more I saw this campaign play out, I'm like, oh, you know what, maybe that's like a real thing. Maybe that does say a lot about society. Maybe it says a lot about DeSantis.
He'd stepped on so many shovels that hit him in the dick. Like, the hungry thing was the least of our concerns. It could have been real. That could have been real.
So
I'll be honest, I thought it was real for like 15 minutes.
The amazing thing though is, like, so I am going through more of these like old photos of DeSantis. The way that they used to trot him out is so different than once he announced that he was running for president. Like, there's this photo that I'm looking at here from 2022 where he's like on stage, and there's this like this like neon and stuff, and it says like Governor Ron DeSantis across the stage, and it's like, where's that energy in his campaign? And instead it's just like, no, we're gonna micromanage what your kid can check out from the library. It's like,
yeah, well, if you remember too, it was like within 2 months of, maybe even less, just within a few weeks of launching his campaign, he had that kind of like, he hired the guy that was trying to make him like base DeSantis or whatever, that made like the Nazi Sonderad video of him, like with like fascists marching, literally with a picture of his face in the middle of a Sonderad. Like, that was who they trotted him out to be for like 15 minutes. And then it's like, no, this guy it's putting Ron. Sorry. That's who you actually got.
Yeah, I feel like he was like, it was like, which way, Western man, like the Nazi Chad, or
yeah. Do you want do you want base DeSantis with the Sonderad and all the fascists marching, or do you want a man who is just brain off, eyes straight ahead, no feelings or thoughts, just eating pudding with his fingers?
That is the weirdest thing though, is like the national vibe when he was running, like he launched with the horrible space that was just like glitching and embarrassing and sad. and like the pudding story, the hungry story, and then like online on like based Twitter circles, like he's like, oh, like you're right, the like Nazi imagery, and like that was like an official campaign ad, right?
Yes.
That was like made by someone he hired, like putting Nazi imagery and like the Giga Chad, which is just insane to use the Giga Chad imagery in a campaign video. Like
for Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, it's like a tale of two DeSantises. The real one, which is this like really sad, pathetic guy who just can't catch a break, and he's just like embarrassing. And then like the DeSantis that like his like 17-year-old fans think he is, where he's like just like this based like Nazi. I don't know. It's just weird. It was a weird campaign.
It just, to me, it does. The one thing I don't understand is why he didn't just wait 4 years.
Yeah,
that's you've got Trump. Trump's running. Just sit there, support Trump, be like, Trump's my guy. I'm behind him. I'm not running because Trump's running. If Trump goes to jail, then you step up and you go, I'm the guy. I am Trump. Now that Trump can't be here, I will fight for you and blah, 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 blah. And then you run in you can run this year. But if not, you run 4 years from now. And that's it. In the meantime, you turn Florida into the hellscape that you're turning Florida into right now. And then that's it, you know? Like, why?
That's like
why
the
not?
weird thing. Like, what's the calculus for a lot of these candidates? Because them running against Trump in 2024 is going to leave a permanent stain in these like hyper MAGA guys' mouth about these people. Like Ron DeSantis, I fully believe will never be president now. I think he could have if he waited until 2028, but there's no way anymore. He ruined it. He ruined his entire national like persona and like profile.
Yeah, I think he's definitely poisoned his image with hardcore Trump supporters, at least, you know, or some of them, enough of them maybe to keep him from being. Someone else will step up and take that mantle. You know, they just want someone to get in there and say what they want to hear.
The thing that's so weird to me is like the entire metric for a Republican candidate is like their proximity to masculinity and like their proximity to like the projection of strength, and really just like the softest bunch of people have decided to come up and like stake their claim against Donald Trump. And even Donald Trump's not super masculine, but I think the thing that really manages to keep him afloat is that he refuses to let anything be a detriment. He can make anything, like the way that he turned fake news, he appropriated the term fake news. That was fucking killer. That guy will not be shamed for anything. He's invincible. He's Teflon. But the rest of these guys are just like, they're all like Charlie Browns.
And yeah, if you're like Nikki Haley or someone, yeah, maybe you run to try to get the VP slot, I guess. But other than that, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there's just something about Trump too that you were talking about, where he has great delivery. I saw a video of him reacting to DeSantis dropping out, and just like the way I will not be able to do it the way he did it. But Trump, like someone asks like, oh, what do you think about DeSantis dropping out? And Trump said something similar to the name Ron DeSanctimonious. And then he leans into the camera and the mic. He goes, has been retired. And it's just like, he's crazy. He's just crazy.
No matter how good it was, I like yours better,
wrestling.
June.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like a wrestler. He's got wrestling mindset.
He is the only former president in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Respect to that. Respect.
What was like the genesis for their feud? Because as I understand it, it was just like Trump endorsed DeSantis and like they were friends. And then what was the split? Was it just because DeSantis was getting too popular for Trump and he started to get like insecure about it? Or was it the 48 laws of power thing, never outshine the master? Like what happened there?
I think isn't it mostly just that DeSantis decided to run against him and that was it? I mean,
well, maybe. I think maybe it was because there was speculation, because they were beefing quite a bit before, like a year before at least.
Were they?
He launched.
I actually don't.
Yeah.
I don't know if I
the DeSanctimonious thing, the nickname actually is from like 2022.
Oh, you're right. Was there like whisperings of him announcing for president? Like I actually thought that.
Yeah.
I didn't even really remember that they were like feuding for a while.
No, you're right. It did predate that, and it was as the talk about DeSantis was starting to heat up, that Trump was just starting to kind of, it seems like, get get a little jealous of some of the attention.
That's some straight up Florida man shit. That is some Florida politics, baby. You gotta love that. Like your friend gets too popular and then you have to stab him in the back. Gotta love that.
I don't know. Sounds very unlike Trump.
But no, another like early sign that I was like, oh, DeSantis he's not going to get this is Cat Turd on Twitter. Cat Turd lives in Florida. He's a big Republican guy. And he was tweeting for years because Cat Turd kind of blew up in like the last year. Like basically like the Elon Musk era Twitter is like when Cat Turd broke 1 million followers, and like before that he only had like 100,000 or so. But so I've watched Cat Turd talk about like DeSantis. Oh, he voted for him in the state as governor twice. He loves him. He was like campaigning for him as governor. He was like a huge DeSantis fan. And as soon as he announced, Cat Turd started going in on him, which I think wasn't like, I'm not saying Cat Turd influenced politics this much, but I think it was just really representative of how a lot of like the MAGA crowd felt, where it's like they felt betrayed by DeSantis and like, oh, he should have just waited. Like I think the main issue DeSantis had is he just didn't wait. He didn't wait his turn.
Yeah, that's probably true. But even if he did, like, I feel like his relative inhumanity would have come out. I mean, we haven't even gotten to the fucking shoe lifts yet. That's it for the main feed episode of Western Kabuki, but if you want to hear us talk about the shoe lifts, you can hear us do so with Parker Molloy on our Patreon at patreon.com/Western Kabuki. You can find more of Parker Molloy on social media. She is Parker Molloy everywhere. Or you can read her writing at her newsletter, which is called The Present Age, and you can find that at readtpa.com. All right, thanks so much.